Hey everybody, this is Immigration Lawyer John Kasravi, Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 312. We're here with a great one, Nicholas Mireles, our colleague from California, and we're here to talk about AILA, its national particular, what kind of he's up to, but also Board of Governors kind of stuff. It really explains to me what that all does. I'm not really familiar, so I'm glad you're here. Nicholas, how are you? Where are you at right now?
I'm good. Thank you, John, for having me. I'm calling or I'm meeting you all the way from Dallas, Texas. I have a client matter in the morning, and so I got in and I know we had this scheduled. So I said, what what hotel room doesn't have a desk with some decent lighting? Throw on the phone, so it all works out. But thanks for meeting with me, and I'm glad we could chat a little bit about this election and telling people, hey, think about me when you cast your vote. Oh, and by the way, there's an election going on, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes just reminding people.
So that's the big thing. You have elections for AILA, and then at the convention is when they announce the results, or they tell you beforehand.
Correct. So it's all bylaws, right? Because that's one thing that's interesting about AILA is that, like all of us who have our own corporate entities that we have our business through, right? You have to have minutes, you have to have a board. Oftentimes we are everybody in our solo practices. So you forget that if you go back to your corporations class in law school or maybe bar prep, you remember, or if you're into stocks and trading, you know that there are people that make these decisions. So that coming up, it's nice to talk about this stuff, and also from the standpoint of chatting with AILA members and colleagues and friends about exactly what the board does, and then how it kind of impacts us as practitioners and AILA members.
Now, you're on SoCal AILA. You've done all the positions there. Is that on the local chapters, half of the board? I remember you told me something like that last year. How does that work?
So chapter chairs make up, all chapter chairs make up kind of the chapter chair voting block, essentially. And so one thing that's interesting for anybody that's an AILA member or considering being an AILA member, if you look into just leadership AILA, a lot of what we'll talk about and kind of I'll highlight today will come up as far as, this is what the Board of Governors is. This is who makes it up. So when I was on the executive committee for Southern California chapter, when I was in my chair position, you basically go to all 4 Board of Governors meetings, meet with all the other chapter chairs from every other chapter, and you are kind of one voting block. And so along with every ex-president of AILA that's in good standing, there's also 21 elected OG positions that cycle out every 3 years, or there's 3-year terms that cycle out.
Is that the one that the election is for that you're running for?
And that's what I'm running for. Yes, sir. It's
GOG board of members now.
Exactly. So it's kind of like the way I think about it is you have the executive committee for AILA, the board you see every conference, they're always speaking. And that's, seven people, I think. You have the 21 at-large bids. That's what I'm going for. You have all of the chapter chairs who make up one kind of entity, and then all of the ex-presidents. And so it's, conglomerate of interested parties, all of which have shown to be extremely invested in the organization.
How do you get? I've been trying to get organizations up and running, and it's really hard. How do you get a nonprofit organization to get lawyers involved and so active? That's amazing. The founders of this organization are pretty amazing people to be able to get it together.
Well, and I think it's interesting, right, John, because you and I are cut from very similar cloths where, we started the practice of law, specifically immigration, and, so many years into it, you realize the need and the value of this kind of community, this kind of association. And then because, the last 10 years has been nothing but chaos, then you realize the power of us coming together. And one thing that AILA is good about is reminding its members, the last few years, you would always hear 15,000 members. Well, now the number's 17. So in an era where people, our Generation Z that's coming after us, people are going away from these centralized associations where people don't want to spend the money. They fraternize different ways, right? The social media generations. AILA continues to be this massive behemoth. And I think it's because there's just a lot of value, whether you're a solo like us and we understand the power of networking and, making sure people know us, or if you work for a massive firm and you're doing impact litigation, or you're a massive nonprofit doing the same thing. So you're right to say a lot of work has gone into this.
Now, okay, so you're right in where the election is open or something like that. I think I got an email saying it's open right now.
Correct. Yeah. So per the bylaws, the election has to start so many days prior to the kind of yearly meeting, the annual meeting, and that meeting happens in the middle of the national conference this year in Chicago in the middle of June. So they counted back so many days, and that started on May 3rd, this past Friday. And so now it's open. Every AILA member would have gotten an email, but of course, within this 17,000 member, world, you're hearing people, oh, it went to spam. Oh, I didn't get it. Oh, when I try to log in, it
Well,
didn't read my credentials.
if you're able, once you become board of governor members, so we have 2 emails for AILA, one for the gazillion listserv emails we get, and one for just regular stuff that's like, from the AILA directory when they email us. I don't want that to get lost in listserv. Please give us 2 emails. But I want to ask what your goals are, what your pet projects are, and your goals in this. But I want people to know you're actually going to be talking to at certain parts of the convention. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'll be speaking on the national conference. I speak early, which is nice to speak on that Wednesday. And as you've seen, John, this went from being something you showed up Wednesday day, Wednesday evening to start Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Now Wednesday is a full day.
Yeah,
And so you almost have to show up Tuesday. And so, yeah, I will also be speaking afternoon on Wednesday. I'm doing a kind of an intermediate to advanced naturalization panel. It should be great. And so I'll also be there speaking in that capacity on top of, getting out the vote.
It's a fun event, but it's turning into a marathon. But it is what it is. But like you're 4 days of, it's not like you just go to party. It's like you're talking to people, learning. It's you got to come home and kind of spend a day or two to just debrief and figure out what just happened with a ton of information that you get from these places. I'm speaking as well on the Saturday. I think it's the last one. So if you want to see me or talk, just meet up with me there. I'll be there as well.
Well, and then that exact note, John, I mean, it is fascinating how many of the heaviest hitters in this world all convene at this one date and time that it's just a second to none event. So I actually met with and we did a recording with a colleague of ours, Joseph Sang, and we basically just kind of talked about the conference and how we've kind of approached it through the years. And because you're absolutely right, it is a 100% marathon where you really almost have to. I tell people, and I think I told this to Joseph, it's like a week before I make sure I'm sleeping, I make sure I'm eating, good food, because like you said, there's substantively a lot of information, but even for at least where we are in our career, more importantly, the ability to see people. You and I live, not 10 miles away from each other. However, we see each other and actually break bread and have coffee and catch up at the conference, whether it be in Orlando or this year in Chicago or New York. So it's just, it can't be overstated how valuable it is to come, because maybe you can stay till Saturday and see John Khosravi speak. And then afterwards, be able to chat with you. And here you are watching this video thinking, oh man, is he really that approachable? I'm here to tell you, yes, he is.
And one note, because I just bought my ticket and flight and all this kind of stuff. AILA's got a really good program going to Chicago O'Hare, I think it is. Like, I got the tickets were like exceptionally cheaper, like a third of the price of what it would have been national. I was like amazed. Now the hotel and the thing itself costs a lot more, but it's kind of like an investment you got to make, and hopefully you bring team members in the future. I see Joseph saying I'm actually going to have a podcast with him tomorrow. He like brings like, him. He comes to Entourage and he does it with the AILA too. So it's a big ticket item for the whole team there.
Well, and I think with Joseph, because he has this massive firm, it spans several continents. He, I think, has realized that for the dollar you put in at the conference, you'll get back 3, you'll get back 10. And for a lot of us, especially those of us in solo practice, sometimes it's hard for us to see the big picture. Yeah. But again, you and I are perfect examples of, we leaned into this space, and all of a sudden, not only is there more work than you could ever do, but you meet some really, really interesting, cool people that cross over to become friends. And then, the practice and the problems and the issues, you just have these, avenues you can reach out to. So it's the discount you're talking about with the airlines. That's something that I've seen pop up the last few years. And you're absolutely right. If you go to the registration, kind of essentially it's more than just like a page now. It's like an entire website. There'll be information. Oh, if you're flying in this airline, use this promo code. If you're flying that airline. And that's, to your point, that's, I think, a testament to this conference that can only be in certain cities, because they don't have the capacity in every city to have this type of conference with this type of membership. It's really a testament to the power that AILA has.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I get so excited. I remember last time in Orlando, last year, I couldn't go to sleep at night because I was just so hyped up. And tomorrow, and I'm like, I got to go to sleep. I didn't get some rest, and it kind of trashed me because I was just so too excited to go to sleep. The next day, I was too tired. It was a mess. But so, what is the name of the thing you're speaking on? The top, you actually mentioned it, the Nats.
It's
Media
yeah,
thing.
Nats on Wednesday. If you see the one with naturalization in the title, that's what we're speaking on.
Yeah, I'm doing marketing on it's like the last session that there is out there. And one side note, I've heard Roman Zelichenko is doing a comedy night. I got to get my tickets for that, but it's like a stand-up comedy night. He's doing Roman Zelichenko in Chicago.
Well, and I'll say on that as well. I think I've seen more extracurricular after the conference social events this conference
Yeah,
than any conference that I've gone to 10 plus years. And it's again, I think the testament that there's just so much to do. So whatever type of person, whatever type of lawyer you are, whether you're like me and John, where we seem to be able to make friends anywhere and everywhere. John may say, "Oh, I'm introverted." I'll tell you, he makes friends everywhere. Anytime we've been together,
it's hard not
um,
to make friends at AILA conference. Like you're gonna go and you're gonna meet a bunch of friends. It's really amazing. You'll
well,
find the
and
people
that's
that are
it,
like
right?
you or whatever you like. Yeah,
Because it's all of us in this kind of shared space. We get together. So I was saying, whether you're really outgoing or super introverted, there's always something. And so one of the things we always talk about in our own practice and our own careers is that you just have to put yourself out there and things will come back to you in ways you never thought possible. Similarly, you show up to the conference, try not to leave early, try not to get there late. Don't have a bunch of work to do at night because you're really going to cut your legs out from under you
yeah.
because everybody's exhausted. Oh, hey, we're going to go to the bar. Hey, we're going to the happy hour. If that's your time, like, oh, let me catch up with my family. Let me catch up with some work. You're really doing yourself a disservice. So
Yeah, especially
it's
the work
that.
stuff because you get sucked into a laptop screen and stuff. It's hard to turn it off, but yeah, it's a monumental moment. The conferences. I wish I could bring my whole team with there and stuff. Just gets pricey, but goal is make more money, have more fun at these conferences. Yeah.
Well, in the next few years, if you look at it, because they put it out years ahead of time, it's all heavy, like we'll call West Coast, because Denver's coming up, and then it's San Diego. So to your
Oh,
point,
hallelujah! I
so
look
it's
forward to
coming.
it.
So yeah, we'll all be taking the same. We'll get an AILA train down from LA, right?
So yeah, definitely. So now, what are like one or two things you want to do that like, and then I just want to kind of talk about after that, just what's going on in your firm and what goals you have stuff. But like, what kind of things you want to bring to the table, running for your position on Bog?
So we've been fortunate enough to hold a lot of campaign Zoom kind of meet and greets with different chapters all over the country. And so it's me and then every other person. I think there's two people going for the secretary position. One was nominated, one was written in. And then there's 10 spaces that need to be filled. There was 10 nominated. I was one of those nominations and then 3 write-ins. So it's a lot of people. And so we're all getting together. We did a few last week and we get to kind of talk about, like you're asking, our platforms, what makes us us. And so what I've really watered it or not watered it down, I've really kind of
Boiled
sculpted
it
it
down.
down. Correct.
Boiled it down.
That 2 minutes is really, it's all about my perspective as a first generation attorney, meaning I didn't come into this space with a dad, a mom, an uncle, an aunt, a grandma, a grandpa. And I think that puts me in a very unique position, especially because, most of the law is still maybe not the 1%, but usually it's hard to get through law school. It's hard to be able to get and through all of that with the cost of it as well. And so being a first gen, being a solo for almost 7 years now, those are two real big kind of parts of my identity. And I think I speak to what I call the under 40 crowd, the millennial base. I think the millennial base will continue to expand because we know in the States, it's it's the largest population the United States has ever seen. So it reasons to believe that in the membership as well, that's only going to grow. And, we have different needs and issues, right? Think of our reality that of our even Gen X or boomers where, you know, student loan debt, the price of a home, whether people decide to start families or just like me, get a dog and spoil the dog. We're really in a unique position, I think, in time. And our organization is no different than that. So I really want to celebrate the solo practice, the practice management space of AILA. I've been telling or speaking on that point a lot lately,
Mhm.
that with Reed Trouts and the practice management team, they continue to grow because I think we know that you and I are, again, perfect examples. Going out on your own was the single greatest thing you ever could have done for yourself, for your family, for your future. And all of that fear and that anxiety and those what ifs, those are real. But at the same time, John, myself, and all of our colleagues that did it will tell you, we wake up every day thinking, I can't believe I get to do this.
Yeah.
And so from that kind of vantage point, I think having more West Coast representation on the board of governors, which, like a lot of big AILA, traditionally and historically has been more East Coast leaning, for obvious reasons. And so that's the other thing is, as you and I always talk about, when it happens in LA, when it happens in Southern California, it's usually happening here first, and then it spreads to the rest of the country. And so having that representation, having an eye towards the future and not the past, that's kind of where I've been finding myself and kind of pitching myself as what my candidacy is about.
I'm a former Dodger fan, I'll say, but I know you're probably still a Dodger fan. You
Big
never
time.
see their highlights though on the news. They always get forgotten, but they're such a major area, and it kind of the California chapters themselves. The numbers and the issues that pop up here are like, as you said, they're top of the nation. So we really got to bring more attention because we're, at the border. There's so much going on the west side that doesn't get the attention because of, even you look at all different types of cases, even asylum cases, the West Coast ones are different from the East Coast. So there's unique West Coast situations with populations, the issues that come up. And then with the bar here, with state laws here that come up that don't make sense immigration wise, all these different factors. It's good to have a team out here to say, hey, by the way, big national, like West Coast has some issues to it. We got to actively deal with. So it's good to have that.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Because California alone, fourth, fifth biggest economy in the world, right? People are here. And if you think about who's coming to the United States and for what reasons, people are not going to New York or these traditional 20th century cities because it's no longer a European based immigration world, right? We are now far more dependent and dominated by Asia, by south of our borders, and not just Mexico, but Central America, South America.
The least, it's really other.
Yeah. We're talking, China. We're talking India. We're talking the places that people still want to come to achieve that American dream. And we are, as we always say here in Southern California, these are our neighbors. These are our people in our community. These are not, these are our clients. I wouldn't say I look down on. We're up here, our clients are down here. For us, it's, that's the Persian guy. Oh, that's a Pakistani guy. Oh, that's a Salvadoran guy. Oh yeah, these are my clients because these are my neighbors. This is our community. And I think SoCal, because we're such a almost nation state in LA and the surrounding counties, like you're saying, when we see it, it's chances are it's happening here either very early or sometimes first. And representing the board and really building on the work of board members from the West Coast and from our chapter specifically, it's almost like I look around and I think to myself, it's probably my turn to throw the hat in, right? These predecessors, these mentors have been doing the heavy lifting and reminding the national org, hey, think West, and this is why I'm here. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Now, this is a 3-year term?
It's a 3-year term, and you can run for re-election if you want. One of our colleagues famously stepped down, Ali Ballour, who I think well, I know well, and his exactly. His position was, I did my time. It's I'm not going to be doing this forever. I'm ready for new blood, and I think that's not always the case. But from the standpoint of, it's enough of a dedication and enough of a commitment where you can, do projects and get on committees and try to continue to push the organization in ways we want the members.
You're going to have your hands full depending on which way election goes. If it goes the other way around Trump, like the next 3 years of your life is going to be a lot of work, not just the office, but also on the bog and everything. So
yeah. I would, if as a Dodger fan and therefore a betting man, I'm not too worried about the election. If I'm being honest, I think the PTSD of 2016 is still very much in us. And so every conference I've been to the last 6 months around the country, everyone's like, what if? But if you look at the news and you understand, there was never a red wave. If anything, there was a blue wave in the midterms that, this guy has not gotten more popular. He's gotten less, and he got crushed in 2020. But that besides the point, you're absolutely right, John. Whatever's going to happen in 6 months, the board will be involved, and the work will be cut out for me.
Yeah, you just had PTSD last time around. That was so much extra work, especially between just the Iranian cases. I was like, oh my god, I got to tell you, nothing's happened. They're stuck. Spouse might come in. I'm like, oh my god, that was bad. That was a bad couple of years. And I mean,
But
right now with processing times, it takes 2-3 years to see your spouse. So it's even right now, it's a disaster when I tell people this.
yeah, it's like it's better now, but it's still bad, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, realistically, going back to kind of the bog and kind of continuing to go up the ladder in leadership. I mean, that's kind of the practice, right? Is not the practice, John. Here are the rules, but here's the reality, and then
yeah,
it's our job to, effectively communicate to the public and potential clients or our clients, like we're doing everything we can, but in the meantime, this is what people in my world are saying, so that our clients can be educated and then likely plan their lives. Okay, I guess I'm not going to see them, like you said, 2 or 3 years. Okay, well then I better put resources to see them,
exactly.
halfway. Maybe I fly them to Mexico. Maybe we meet in Europe. Let's meet in Turkey if, let's say they're Iranian. And that's what I think a good advocate and a good attorney does, is
Mhm.
say, here's what should happen. This is the most likely case scenario. Um, and dealing with all of that extra work, it's almost to the point where it's no longer extra work if we do it on every case. Now it's just part
Yeah.
of the work, right?
They
But
got updated.
gearing up for it
That's why I updated
nonetheless.
my contracts last time around. I'm like, I need to create some sort of like cutoff barrier because this is like I can't get any new work done. And the people are a lot of the work I saw. I remember last time when the travel bans happened for Iran and stuff, and like submit a waiver. The waiver was complete nonsense. Like it was hours of work for something that they would just toss in the trash. So I'm like, I did it a couple times. I realized nonsense. I tell people I'm not gonna get paid for work that's gonna go in the trash, so I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, it is interesting though, because there are, let's see, and maybe this is again a generational shift. There are plenty of offices knowing what you knew, did it anyway because they got paid, right? And I
Yeah.
think there is something to be said about, the ethical obligations, or the even just the human
It's kind of
considerations
hard
of.
because maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work for one person, then they stop it. It's like, if you guys want to pay for it, sometimes I'll do certain things like because the client really, and sometimes they're right even, but it's as you said, it's an ethical dilemma of like, are you wasting people's time and money, or is this all actually going to get somewhere?
And sometimes in the helplessness of it all, people want to, and you and I are no different because we're people. Even if it's going to be a low chance of success, I
Yeah,
want to try just because I feel like I have to do something. And it's an
yeah,
interesting part of the job, is how emotionally and psychologically our clients, as well as us and our teams, get involved in our cases. That
mhm,
this isn't, workers' comp or PI or something to the effect of, oh, it's just a job. We get involved because, we feel for these people, and ultimately these people are just trying to abide by the rules, fall in line. But again, when the line is 1,000 years long, at what point are we to tell them we can do it, but here's what we can expect?
yeah. These unexpected lines, F2A, it's just this big unknown spouse or green card citizen, and like, it's such a messy situation. Thanks for coming, Mitch. I want to ask just what's going on with your firm wise. What kind of how does this rest of this actually next half of the year look for you? What's going on with your firm?
Well, isn't it crazy that we're knocking on the door of June, and then, like you said, we're at six? That's 6 months. That's the year. That's half of 2024. No, we continue to grow, and we continue to kind of build on success in the past. For those of you who don't know, and most of you probably won't, I have a very small office. It's really not a true solo per se, because I do have some contract attorneys that work with me, but largely I am the firm. The firm is me. But like any type of small solo or boutique, it's all about high quality service, really high end levels as far as communication, and really trying to hold people's hands. For example, I'm here in Texas for a client matter, a green card matter, we'll say, in the morning. And that's one of those things where every time I take a case out of state, every time potentially I take a case out of the country, there's always this idea that if my client would like me to be there in whatever capacity I can be there, I will be. So things are going great. I may have I was telling you, John, I may have my wife starting to come work for me. That's still kind of in the not early stages, but I've been pushing her for a while now to come, and she's not from the legal space,
Yeah.
but she's a constant professional. And so
Mhm.
knowing what our mentors and our colleagues who've done this, for twice as long, 3 times as long as we have, sometimes you get so busy, you're looking for good people. It can be hard to find people. It can be hard to find people you trust. looking at a partner sometimes ends up being the
Yeah.
easiest and realistically the smartest thing you can do.
Well, our colleague Mandy Fearback, her husband's an attorney. They're both former consular officers. He just joined her firm and double up that way. So it's a good way to go.
Well, and again, I think this goes back to kind of, not to beat the drum about the board of governors, but I think we are dealing with a very different world than our colleagues did 15 and 20 years ago. I think the way we deal with the world, we challenge every status quo. We question, oh, I should work till this time. I should work till this date. I should go on these
Yeah.
vacations. I think we're in this constant state of reimagining whatever people did prior to us,
Yeah.
because we know whether it's pandemic all the way to when we were coming up, 9/11 and everything between, mortgage crisis, Trump, it seems like instability continues to define our lifetime and our generation. And so it's almost asking yourself, what do you want? What makes me happy? What's going to make us happy? It's an important part of our practice because inevitably our practice is, it's our part of our identity.
For sure. Well, bro, thanks for coming on again. I want to go back to do more regular sessions like we used to, because I've been out of commission on the toolbox for a while. But one of the things I enjoy most is talking about immigration law and practice, and that's builds me up. And just been so tied down, I can't even go to conferences. So I'm happy to see this one. Hopefully, we go to more local ones in California and stuff when they pop up. But any last word? How could people contact you if you want to reach out? And obviously, again, you're going to be speaking on Wednesday at the AILA conference.
Yeah. I mean, we'll make sure that when this gets posted, my LinkedIn page is up, my email, my contact information. I try to be readily available, to the point where I had a now former USCIS field office ISO reach out to me earlier today. It was something to the effect of, "Hey, I don't know if you recall, but we met, years ago, and you had kind of pitched me on going solo, and that I should whenever I'm ready. Well, guess what? I've left the service, and now I'd love to get coffee and chat." And so I love that type of stuff. I think you and I are cut from that similar cloth. And so contacting me, Google the name, find a way to get me a message, and I'm sure I'll respond. And then for the AILA members watching, or thinking about, oh, this guy doesn't seem too bad, definitely, if you haven't voted yet, dig up that email. Feel free to message me if you can't find it. I'm happy to help with that. And as has been the case at previous conferences, come up, introduce yourself if you see me in the flesh, because this is what it's about, is
Yeah.
connecting and leaning on each other, because the work is hard and life can be a grind. But like you said, John, we love doing this stuff because you come away from it so energized, knowing that there's good people trying to do good work, looking around to try to help each other at the same time. So thank you so much for the time.
You got it. I appreciate you coming on. Hope to see you again soon on the show with that. So everybody, to close with us, I'm John Kasravi. We didn't say any legal information, right? So there's no those warnings. It's not intended for individual legal guidance, but we didn't talk really legal stuff. So that's good. I appreciate it. I'll stay on the line. Let me end recording. Thank you, Toolbox, episode 312. If you're a listener and you haven't been hearing from me, just email me too so I can hear more about what you're doing and stuff. We're gonna get back in the toolbox. And yeah, whoever's listening, just reach out, let me know what you do so I keep you in my Rolodex. But with that, thanks so much.